What if the guidance you've been searching for has been with you all along? In this episode of the SoulPreneur Journey, we welcome Isabel and Josiah of Visions for the Heart. Isabel and Josiah are energetic mechanics who teach people how to connect with their spirit guides and apply that guidance in practical ways. They share how your spirit guides can support you, and Isabel channels her higher self to deliver a special message for the listeners today. As part of their work, Isabel channels your unique energetic team, identifies who's supporting you, and together they help you understand how to work with your guides. Connect with Isabel and Josiah of Visions for the Heart on TikTok and YouTube, and visit their link in bio to explore their current offerings.
For those listening, it's not your fault. If you're having a hard time connecting and you feel like things close off, if it seems to be very off and on, if you're like, why aren't my guides connecting to me? Am I not worthy enough? You are worthy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just simply about learning the mechanics behind it. You are taking steps that are conducive towards your future. You are worthy of connecting. Now it's just getting those mechanics in place of how does your system work best to be able to release all of this that's pent up,
Mm-hmm.
feel the support that's around you, and start moving from the heart center.
When I started seeing our sister Amelia, she brought forward all of these different guides in my space. And so when I started understanding how to work with them and channel them and then apply the information they were giving through my channeling, I saw it completely change my life. And so that's really my premise around wanting and doing this channeling, not just as a skill, but okay, here's the information that's coming forward that is actually applicable to the goals that I'm looking to accomplish.
Yeah, and when we started working for others, what energetic mechanics really became to be is how can you work with your unique team?
Yeah.
So even though we'll channel today, it's not focused on our guides giving the information, is what does your team have to offer and how can we work with them to build you a system that works specifically for you? And channeling and giving information from our sister Amelia, and
Yes.
that got us our jump start into this. And that's why we call it a jump start when we do that for others.
Wow. So it's like initiation.
Initiation to you and your team, 100%.
Yeah. Your
Yeah.
systems that are there. And so that's what's a little bit unique about the channeling I do. I'm not just bringing in either one guide or one collective. I've worked to bring in the guides from other people's spaces so everyone can feel that very direct connection.
Yeah, and that's what we love because I love too. She's channeling, so she doesn't often remember a lot of what comes forward. But I'm sitting on the side, and oftentimes I'm kind of a host to talking to the guide and the person in front. And it's so interesting to me to see how unique they come forward for everybody. And to see you talking in completely different accents that I've never heard come out of your mouth before. And so that's another element to it. You know, it could be Russian or it could be whatever it is, a very southern accent we've heard, but how unique the guides present forward to people is such a fun thing to be able to experience too.
Yeah, I can imagine. And I love your role in the Josiah in the process is you're translating, you're like a liaison, but you're also able to bring the visuals through with, we've talked about your artwork and we'll get into more of that. And also creating a tangible pathway for people to use the information that comes through.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the art started, it was kind of a combination because when I really started it in the space, Isabel was always been very good at bringing forward information the way that she does, but my element was always protection. I wanted to learn that from day one. I was always an artist since I was young, but protection was a big piece, and I kept diving further and further into that until I realized it really became upholding. So
Mm-hmm.
it was protecting against, and the longer we dove into that of what really is going on, it became no, we're not protecting against, we're upholding what is. And
Yeah.
how that ties in is because when I get into spaces with people, I help to hold their space. So holding space, we know, but I use my team in a way to actually be able to move back some of that noise to see what's present around them.
And it allows me to go in and view all the different guides that are there with clarity because Josiah's moved everything back. And that's really how we function energetically with each other in these sessions, as well as him, physically being a liaison, as you said, to the information that's been coming forward.
And that brings the information for the work, for the artwork. Is I always wanted to tie it in. I was always drawing and painting, but I was like, I want it to be meaningful. And it took me so long to figure out how to tie that in. But when I started holding space and working in this way, it was like, okay, what comes from that clarity? What can they experience in this moment, and what do I see in this moment? And then how do we put that into a physical piece that someone can hold on to?
Yeah. And, when I first started here, I would get glimpses of images and I would assign different either colors or different symbols for each of my guides. And so one of my main guides I channel, I gave him a symbol of little glasses. And so whenever I was wanting to connect in with my guides, I'd visualize either that color or that symbol, and then I'd feel their energy within my body. And that really developed the validation. So that's what really got me into trusting, okay, when I want them to come forward, they are here. And that developed into the visuals, which developed into the channeling that I do now.
And how long have you been doing this?
Yeah, it's been about 10 years at this point, and I've been channeling now for close to 8 here.
And so for others, it's been about 2 to 3. But since we've started on this path really intensely within ourselves, 8 to 10 has been really where it's been at.
Yeah.
I want to shift the conversation a little bit into why does this energy work feel real to you? What makes it for those listening, like, well, maybe that's a thing, but you're so sure. Like, you're so, like, the way that you two present and you show up, you're like, I am so sure. And I want to look at this through 2 lenses, because one, you're so solid and you're so confident and you're so sure. You're like, we're helping people. We are tapping into this. We are giving them the tools they need. We are teaching them the mechanics of their soul system, whatever you want to call it. But also the other people who are, how do I get there? Right? Like, how do I get to that certainty in my own work? So what makes this feel so real to you, where you're like, what made it so solid? That's a few different questions, but go for it.
Maybe I can answer some personal stories, and maybe you can answer working with clients through that lens.
Absolutely.
Does that work?
Go ahead.
So personal stories, of course, we were questioning like crazy in the beginning too. Is this real? Is this actually helpful? My prime example that I go to before we started working with others, when it was just us, was when I did go to that detention center camp. It was 16-hour days working in the woods with teenagers that were all cussing at me, running at me with sharp objects, all of that. I was somebody who was very anxious, putting myself in the middle of this situation. So as you can imagine, that was very chaotic, externally and internally. But what I would do in those moments where I was literally borderline panic attack is I would go in the car and I would call her oftentimes.
Mm-hmm.
I knew I could feel, I knew I could connect, but in that moment, I wanted a channeled message to learn a tool or technique. She would bring forward one of my guides. Ptolemy is one that I work with, and especially during that time. And he taught me a specific technique to release energy that I did not want and flow it down into the earth, connecting to source and connecting to earth. And there was a way that he was showing me how to flow it. That was an extremely impactful moment for me because I was mostly feeling based. But when I did that, he guided me to do it. It was like I took off a weight vest of 150 pounds. I mean, it was so visceral that it just was a shock to my system. And I could go back and function again. And then 3 hours later, I'd be on the phone. Okay, I need another thing. And he would. And he'd lead me through it again, and the weight vest would come off. And that was our initial orienting towards how to work with the team. But even in that same environment, I wound up there for 2 years. What I'm talking about now is a couple weeks in.
Hmm.
And when we got our different roles of our team set up, I could actually hold my own space and be in confidence when everything around me was on fire. And it
Yeah.
taught me that it can not just be an information source, but viscerally change how I'm feeling in the moment so I feel capable. And, that's a personal story for me, but I know you have a bunch as well.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I've always kind of had that validation because, you could put my dad in one side of the house, me in another, and we would say the same exact things, see the same exact beings, describe it the same exact way. And that validation just amplified tenfold when we started working with clients.
Yeah.
When I would look into their space and say, all right, this guide is saying this, and they're like, oh my gosh, I've been hearing that or been seeing that my entire life. When I'm leading them through a connection with their team and I'm describing their guide and they're like, oh my gosh, that's exactly what I'm seeing too, or that's exactly what I'm feeling. And, on a larger scale, working with people and getting them seeing the insane amount of transformation that they make in just 6 weeks of working with us. I remember, there's a lot of clients we have that deal with confidence. And we have a lot of people who come to us extremely introverted. And they're like, I want to change, but I don't know. And after the 6 weeks of working with us, they are probably some of the most social people you will ever meet. They're going out taking new classes. We've had multiple people start businesses, learn how to network themselves just because they learned their internal compass. And so, seeing that on a larger scale, and then every single session we go into, having and seeing that, oh my gosh, moment from people is just so incredibly validating, and it makes us feel that deep sense of confidence in what we do because we've also lived it.
And I want to add one thing to that, because if we were to boil down like what is going on and what changed with us from beginning to end and those that we work with, it's finding your center. That was something that was told to me from one of my guides about 7 or 8 years ago now. And what that means to me now is having a base within yourself where you feel calm, peaceful presence. And things are going to shift. We're going to hit storms. Nothing's going to be stable all the time, or we're not really growing. But what we do now have is a place that we know how to get back to.
Yeah.
Okay, I got shaken off course, or this and this happened, but I know how to find my center again.
Yeah.
I know how to get back to a place of clarity to realign towards what I want. And through setting up the guides is where we wind up with. They help hold the space, give advice and options of what is you're capable of, and then ultimately help you realize I can be in control of my own space, of my own energy, and come back to that base whenever I want.
Yeah, I love that. I get that question a lot. How do I just be in my own energy regardless of everything around me?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, let me think about what I did. So it sounds like you get your own evidence. And I worked with both of you. And I think that's the most powerful thing is you get to see for yourself, because every one of your clients is collecting their own evidence, and they're feeling their own transformations, and they're experiencing their own results, and within themselves it's that you have to kind of experience to really understand, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For others who are on this journey of stepping into their life's work, because we do all kinds of stuff, in our younger years. I was a waitress, I did taxes, I was a private investigator, I was a paralegal for a decade and a half or so. Gosh, I did so many different jobs, and my life started breaking down when I was at my peak. I was like, this is great, but it was shaky. It was shaking. And it was very obvious to me after much, much resistance and refusals that I was being called to do something else, but I had no idea what it was. And I just had to trust that was
Mm.
okay. Like going into that unknown area,
Mm.
going into who knows it's not me. It's somebody, but it's not me. And I'm just going to have to keep going. And my life was, it was showing me that the structures that I had built everything on were not sturdy, and I had to rebuild myself. I had to rebuild my internal world. And then I shift into some alignment that finally made sense. And then from there I went to, what do I want my purpose to be? What's meaningful to me?
Mm.
It had, and I feel like for me personally, if it's meaningful to me, that's my purpose. Um, that's my personal experience, and showing up and being, um, seeing what else shows up with you and
Yeah.
allowing that into your experience over and over and over again. Maybe touch upon a little bit of your experience as you shifted into this totally new job, and then your advice to others that are listening and they're like, am I ever going to be there?
When Josiah came to me, he was like, he said, "Hey, I know you know what you're doing, and we can start changing people's lives." I at first thought he was crazy, and I was like, "Oh my gosh," the like my nervous system was like, "Whoa." At the time, I was a preschool teacher, and I was seeing the effects of energy work. I would help manage my classroom through talking with all of the children's guides. Um, and so when I would walk into the classroom, I had 10 children, but I was actually talking to a group of 30 every single day. And I'd tell their guides what their needs were, and I'd see the children come into class. And because they were so young, sometimes they weren't able to express their needs to me. And so I just go to their guides and ask them, "Hey, what happened before they came into school? What do I need to know? How do I need to help them emotionally process and regulate?" And I would do the techniques that the guides would say to me. And immediately that was my classroom management strategy, working with the guides to work with the children. And so that's where I really started applying my spirituality work. And so when we took this leap, of course, there was that initial, "Can I do this?" And then my guides came back to me again and again and said, "Look at what you're doing every day." And so when he said, "We're doing this," I quit my job, and it was scary, but what his guide said a few years ago that really stood out to me for all these years is, "Don't run." And so, even if it's scary, don't run from what you know you are capable of doing.
And you may get a little extra push, which is what I got.
He
So
got the extra
he
push.
took the intrinsic route of, I'm going to do this. I was teetering for a little bit on it, and everything around me made it blatantly obvious is what happened with me. So we were talking about this for a little while. We
Mhm.
were starting to move in this direction. Um, and right before we started this a bunch of years ago, I took a trip to the UK on a whim. I had a group that I was there to meet, learn business skills, whatever it was. I went all in. Everything I had went to this trip. And so I flew. I did what I did. I learned a lot. I came back excited. And I'm like, okay, let me rebuild my base and get back to work. And my work was based around driving at the time. And my car broke down. And I said, okay, I got it fixed. I did everything I needed to
You
do.
already had spent all your money.
I spent everything I had basically getting this car fixed up so I could keep going in what we're doing. And I remember this specific moment, which made me go to Isabel, is I was driving this car, which breaks down all the time, but it was my main source of income. And I was coming to this parking spot where it has previously broken down. I specifically said to my team, please do not let this car break down again. After I said that, the second I pulled into the spot, the car didn't start. I said it as a complete joke. I was joking. And I said that, and the car suddenly turned off. And at that moment, I had no other choice because I did not have another job to go in on this. And at first, I was angry, of course. But then I went, no, that was for a reason. And I need to listen to what that reason was. And so I went to her and I said, we need to do this.
Yeah.
And to my shock, you were just like, let's go. And I was like, I didn't expect that. But that's, it either is an internal push to make the change, or on my end, it was like, okay, things are happening around me for me to make a decision here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love that your experiences were so different. Isabel's like, we're doing it. This is scary, but okay. I'm gonna run with it instead of away from it. And your Josiah, your experience was more like mine, which was I was very resistant, and for me, I just wasn't listening to myself. I had
Mm,
I had I had honored putting my intellect first because that's what society had taught me, which was not the way that I grew up, which was not even in my early adulthood how I operated. So for some reason, I thought that I was doing life wrong, so I'm just going to listen to my intellect. I'm going to use my smarts, and I'm going to listen to that part of me. And when I stopped listening to myself, I lost my way. And then I had to relearn how to listen to myself. And it was almost like an emotional, everything was fine. My business was booming. I was doing great. I had all kinds of clients. I ended up giving my clients to somebody else and just saying, hey, this is not where I'm supposed to be.
mm,
And and then I listened to myself, and myself just said, this isn't where you're supposed to be. Like, well, where am I supposed to be? And then it's like you said, I wish that they could have just said, you're supposed to be over there doing that, go do that, because I did not know. And I had to rebuild that relationship to get that direction. And that was part of my personal lesson, was listening to myself and honoring myself, and my intellect is part of those stored skills or thoughts that I have that can be helpful and help us take action, right? And execute things. But primarily, it was not, the center or the alignment or the compass that you help people find, which is what I needed back then. So, those listening, we're hoping that, if you resonate with any of this, there's people out here like Isabel and Josiah who help, who have walked, we've walked these paths and we align with this part of us or this aspect of us that is what I call our life's work. And then we can guide and serve. Your process has to be evolving, because I think that's what happens to a lot of us, right? We land in our life's work and then we evolve with it and alongside it to serve ourselves and others.
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely.
it's kind of weird how this interaction goes, but lately I've been fascinated on the comparison with the AI. So
Yeah, that is true. You
when
have to
you're
talk about that a lot.
when you're working with AI or a chat system, right, you have to train it on who you are, where you're trying to go, what your goals are, continuously hone it in and put input into what you're looking for back. It's very similar to spiritual teams
Yeah.
from what we've found, because the more you set your intention, take action on it, and then really hone in and let the results sink in, things start to move. And the
Yes.
addition that guides do versus a chat GPT, right, is guides are well rounded. They can help you mentally process new things, which not a lot of people hone in on. They can help you embody and feel a different way by pulling and drawing them in. And so it's not just the informational downloads, but helping you take action through embodiment and processing as well.
Yeah, and I think that's the real shift with us as well. Like when we first started connecting, especially for me, it was just informational downloads, seeing them, hearing them, and then with the intention, it shifted into one of, all right, Isabel, go embody. All right, go apply. Go do it.
Yeah.
And once they knocked me in the head enough times with it, then I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. And that's when it really started shifting everything for us.
And what is it? It's like, what are we all trying to do? Live a better life. Do things that are exciting to us. Put ourselves out there. We're not trying to be the biggest storage container possible and then just sit with it. We want to act.
Yeah.
And that's the piece that's key.
Yeah. And I've heard some of your TikTok videos and you explain how, we'll ask our guides, what do I do? What do I do? It's almost like a passive, like we're looking for guidance and maybe we're looking in the wrong place, and asking permission almost rather than taking. So I'm going to ask you about that, but also how does that align with looking outside of us for all of these things versus, our guides being a part of us? Could you explain that a little bit as well?
Yeah, go ahead.
We were both like, oh, yeah. I think that's huge. And I think that's one of the biggest keys is instead of assuming it's almost like we want it to be, our guides have all of our answers and they have it right here. And if we ask the right thing, the key to life will be unlocked and then we can move. But we've seen it more so. They're really here to help you find you. Like if I were to summarize why guides are here,
Yes,
to help you find you and live your life on that. And so, when we get past the initial stages, we don't really use them for information so much. 90% of what we use our teams for is when we get overwhelmed, anxious, the brain is going, okay, team, I need space held in this moment. Can you help me get a little bit of clarity right now? Understand what's going on and present that forward so I can make a decision from my heart space.
Yeah, and I think that's the main difference here, that guides are solely connected in to your heart space. That's where your connection with your higher self is. That's where connection with source is. That's where your connection with everything is. And so when we constantly, because I know both of us a long time ago, we got caught in this loop of, all right, looking for validation from everyone else outside of you. But it's like everyone else has their own structure and their own system and their own lessons in this life. So the way I live and interact is going to be completely different from everyone else, but we're both living in our authentic truths.
In the book analogy that you always say.
Yeah. I mean, what I always explain it as my guides brought forward is, all right, in this life, like I am writing the chapters in my own book, and someone else could be writing their own chapters in their own book of them, but we're each trying to reach the same exact goal.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's, in my experience, when we are desperate or like, I need something outside of me to do, and we're looking at angel numbers and we're following this and we're following that. But with our guides, it to me, it feels like an intimate relationship within. It's within, and we're allowing life to come through us and our guidance to come through us in that way, and work as a team with these energies aside from that desperate grasping onto anything that's outside of us, because we are always living from the inside out, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I
Absolutely.
would double down on what you said too, to where even if it's I need external validation, you can do that while acknowledging they're still a part of you at the same time. Because I remember, a part of my journey with that was early on for me, it was very heavy anxiety, where it was hard for me to even leave the house for days at a time. And so, what did I want to do? The exact opposite of that. So, I worked at a wilderness detention center for a couple of years. And what taught me to make the flip from anxiety to confidence and feeling that was having a protector, a guide there that showed strength, confidence. And when I drew them into my space, I could feel it. And it's kind of what we were talking about here of,
Yeah.
okay, I can see them doing it. Wait, can I do that? I can do that. Okay, I have them with me. And if I know they're here and they're supporting me, let me take the action because I know I'm supported in this. So it's like a built-in support system and a mirror also to what's already within, as you said. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I like that you're acknowledging that we have free will, right? And we get to ask what we need help with. It's not like show me my whole purpose here and tell me what to do. It's I want to do this. Help bring in the energy for me to make this happen or the support. Is that
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, and I wish
Absolutely.
we both wish.
Absolutely.
We both wish that they could just say, "This is your purpose. Here you go. Do that." If that was a thing, that would be amazing. But also,
Yeah.
also, would it be as rewarding? As truly discovering it yourself and being able to feel it and embody it within.
Yeah, it's interesting too, because I use a lot of my guides, when I'm looking to move into a new phase in my life or creation, or I have these thoughts come up. I have them help me identify, okay, what is the core need of my space? Like I'm feeling some anxiety now.
Yeah.
What does my system actually need? And once they let me know, hey, this is what you're looking for. You're looking for a little bit more safety, or you're looking for a little bit more structure, then I can take that and implement it physically. And so that's kind of how I've really structured my space to help me constantly be in a state of creation and movement. Not having them just give me information all the time, but helping me actually learn how to work with myself in an effective manner.
Just for the listeners, Isabel, I know you bring in clients and you channel their guides and you kind of see who's in the room and who comes forward and protector, manager, you let them know this is what's coming through, and then you can channel those specific energies, which is amazing, so that your clients, your customers can ask specific questions if that's proper. And then Josiah, you help your clients understand what that information means and actually how to apply it from that point moving forward, almost in like a coaching relationship. Is that right? Will you explain that a little
Yeah.
bit?
Yeah, absolutely. Our first session is really centered on exactly how you said it is
Yeah.
identifying their team, but also the roles and how they can support. And so that's key into, instead of just having a name, a bit of an understanding too of how I can work with them, of what are key things that I can bring them forward for. If I'm struggling with something, who can I go to and how does that dynamic work? And
Yeah.
then you're channeling at the end.
Yeah, understanding their names. And so, when I'm needing support, oh, all right, ethos. All right, Joshua, really having that deep connection with them and then me channeling them in. So you have that emotional bond with them as well. And you feel less alone. And that's really where I find a lot of my passion with channeling others' guides, seeing how emotional people get, feeling that, wow, someone actually hears me, someone actually understands me. I'm actually genuinely supported and cared for and loved and can get my questions that have been burning actually answered. Seeing that when I come out of channeling, even if I don't remember what is said, that is why I love doing what I'm doing. Seeing that bond that people get with the system and with the guides that have been with them all along.
Yeah, and in my experience, I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this, is that when we begin to awaken and we start to see things a little differently and we're awakening to the energy around us, it can be overwhelming, but also we go inside, right? And we're learning about ourselves and our inner worlds, and it's like a hermit phase. And then you feel like you're doing it alone. Like we feel very alone for a long time. And I think it's refreshing to know like, oh my gosh, I'm not alone and I've never been alone. I have a team, I have support, I have guidance, and to allow that energy back in so that you can kind of tell the difference between, maybe one aspect or another, or one guide and another. And then allowing those energies to continue to teach you along your life path and guide you and help you after, in my experience, I've made a choice. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this, and I'd like your help. And that logical aspect, or the, my logical guide, shall I say, I'm like, I need you to bring some logic over here, or I need you to translate this energy for me, or help me translate this energy. It's very comforting to know that we've never been alone, but sometimes we felt like we had to be, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And even if that is the starting point. I am not alone. That can move mountains.
Yeah.
Like if that's
Yeah.
that's the starting point, to know that and to feel it. And I know you know this, Laura, how big of a shift that makes.
Yeah.
What was that for you, that shift of feeling that you're not alone? What did that feel like for you?
Well, when I felt alone, I was with my thoughts, my feelings, my ego, sorting out the interesting thing is I feel like it all has purpose. So I was sorting out what kind of energies my thoughts that I was believing was building that reality around me, what those energies looked like when they're coming into 3D. I'm like, oh, well, that thought's bringing that thing, and this thought's bringing this thing. And I could decide what thoughts I'm going to believe here because I'm building up this reality around me. And I had to do that on my own, saying with my own awareness, because anytime a guide or an energy would come in, it probably would have caused a little bit of confusion because that's like a straight and narrow road I had to take. And then I felt like I was in a little bit of a neutral space where I was like, okay, there's nothing here anymore. What do I do? I'm alone. I have to figure it all out on my own. I don't know what my purpose is. I don't know what to do with my life. And then realizing that that next step was occurring to me through an insight or through my wisdom. I was like, oh, I'm getting shown
Mm.
something here. And then trusting that and going with that and then allowing it to continue. It's almost like I talked myself into, I'm going to trust the process. I have faith in this. All the things that were I'm just going to let go and get out of my own way. And in reality, it was just already going anyways. It was just already
Mm.
going anyways. And then I was allowing it. I don't want to say reconnecting because I don't think the connection was ever lost. I was just allowing it because I could use it. Now I could use my guidance. I could use my guides. I can use the energy. And what it felt like was I got plugged back into the system. So I was
Mhm.
unplugged, navigating on my own. Um, and I feel like I don't want to go too deep into it, but I feel like that's a choice we make to kind of learn that. Like, this is what it feels like to be unplugged. And then when I plugged myself back in, it just, I was just back on the grid, you know? I was just back on the
Yeah.
grid. I didn't have to figure it out anymore. I didn't even have to trust the process because it was just all that was already built in. There's a control that was already built in that I was just
Mhm.
trying to tack down and navigate and, make happen and push through. And realizing that it was there all along. Um, and then noticing it. And I think that's what the two of you help with also is when you begin to notice it, you can converse with it. And when you can converse with it, it's like having conversations with yourself in a way that is so helpful that you can't have with anyone else or anything else. Right. And then
Mhm.
that is like, that's power because those relationships are teaching us something I call the inner teacher sometimes as well, is like they're teaching us like how do we evolve past where we are? How do we go past where we want to go? How do we be who we want to be? All of those things. There's an inner teacher that's like, hey, and when we can listen to that, when I think we learn to listen too, because again, it was always there for me, but I couldn't really hear it. I couldn't
Mhm.
really hear it. Yeah.
And I know, listening to you talk about it too, saying almost let go and things start to move. I also just feeling into your energy with it comes with the dual side of you taking action towards it too, but things started to flow when you took action. Is that right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that's
Absolutely.
kind of where, you know, you don't have to be spiritual or believe in guides or believe in any of this stuff to produce the changes that you've made, the changes we've made, the changes anyone can make. It's even using the logical mind, which I know you do a lot of, okay, here are my data points. When I did this, this was the result that I got. And tracking that data is just a way for, really anybody to tune into themselves and tune into that inner teacher, to tune into the guides that are around them without having to necessarily be, quote unquote spiritual
When
in
I
it.
follow my heart, what happens?
Yeah.
We can write that down. We can note it. We have enough proof for ourselves. When I follow my heart, this happens. It makes
Yeah.
it easier for the brain to go, okay, the proof is here as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Wow. And, I think I've had conversations with other channelers and other individuals or teams that kind of help doing what you do. And you're right, you don't have to believe anything, but at the end of the day, we always ask like, but does it help you? Is it helping you?
Right.
Yeah, and
Right.
the addition here with the guides, what I would say is, especially when we're talking about have a conversation with the self, is so like IFS as a model, internal family systems. The idea behind that, just a broad kind of overview, is being able to have a conversation with the younger version of yourself and release what needs to be released. Through that lens, if we look at guides, okay, we can have a conversation for ourselves. What guides do, though, is like, what if you had 10 friends standing behind you, being like, you got this. How can I help you? How can we support in this
Mhm.
conversation? What do you need to make this conversation smoother for you? And so that's kind of how we've attributed working with guides ourselves, is less so of do this for me, make this happen, or this should be happening, versus, okay, I'm going to go into changing myself and moving forward in a way that I would like. I would like to feel supported, to feel that there are options in front of me that I can take, because we all know how it feels when we feel stuck.
Yeah.
It's like there's no options. But when guides can help open the space up a little bit, they can be like, no, there are a lot of paths here. And if you're afraid to take one of those steps, we can support you in doing so. And,
Yeah.
that's why we do both of that initial jumpstart that Isabel does to get them an understanding who's there. But my role with it is let's actually solidify it into something that you can hold on to. And so when we do longer term work with people, it's how do you really get into your heart space so this leads, and then feel supported from your guides within this.
And understand how to connect and work with them consistently and not it just be in that, all right, I'm waiting. No, like build an internal foundation so you can consistently connect into all of your guides whenever you need that support. And so, everyone we work with long term understands by the end, all right, I know my guides. I know how to identify all of them. I know how to work with all my guides. I know how to emotionally process with them. And I know how to actually take that action to move my life forward in the way that they're looking for.
And what's funny about it is because sometimes it's not, sometimes they want to go down the spiritual route, but sometimes it's starting a new class, meeting new people,
Yeah.
taking a dance class, just doing things outside of our comfort zone to expand our life rather than just keeping in the bubble of spirituality. How do we actually integrate it into living our life more fully?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And I love the transformation of being and living more, because we all want a richer life, right? And you help people find that. But tell me about the struggles that you see when people are coming to you. What state are they in? What are their struggles?
Yeah. So, majority of people, when we first start working with them, have tried connecting in with their guides and they feel like I'm just hitting a wall. I don't know what's happening. We get a lot of people as well who have maybe been opened up to spirit and now they feel like everything is just completely shut off. And we also get a lot of people that are wanting to change their life but have no idea where to start. Maybe they have a lot of anxiety. Maybe they have a lot of racing thoughts. And they are like, I want to move in my life, but I don't know how. I'm looking to feel supported. I'm looking to feel that confidence, and I'm looking to move. That is who we are so excited to work with. And that's what majority of our clients, when they come to us, are feeling and dealing with.
There is a path forward.
Yeah.
Even though it seems like there's not,
Yeah.
even though you've taken steps forward and the ground seems to fall out from under you, every time you take those steps, there is a path forward.
Yeah. Yeah. When your guides are there, your guides are already there with you.
And another addition to that is it's not, for those listening, it's not your fault. If you're having a hard time connecting and you feel like things close off, if it seems to be very off and on, if you're like, why aren't my guides connecting to me? Am I not worthy enough? You are worthy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just simply about learning the mechanics behind it. You are taking steps that are conducive towards your future. You are worthy of connecting. Now it's just getting those mechanics in place of how does your system work best to be able to release all of this that's pent up,
Mm-hmm.
feel the support that's around you, and start moving from the heart center.
Yeah.
Want to crystallize the tangible ways that tapping into your guides and understanding how they work with you can give the results that people want. But first, I know, Isabel, you had said you're willing to channel your higher self. So let's go for that and see if your higher self has a message for everybody listening.
Perfect. Yeah. Jump right into it.
And
Do you
Josiah,
want to talk?
if you have questions, I'll let you two do the interaction because I know that's what you're used to.
Beautiful.
Sounds good, Laura. Hi, Joshua.
It's good to see you, Josiah.
Thanks for joining us and Laura and everyone that's on today.
It is my pleasure. Hello, Laura. What do you all need?
If you can give a little bit of an explanation on how teams can support, energetic teams can support people, those that are joining, what the impact can be. And then give a broader message about where we're headed overall with this. When we start to work with our teams, where can that lead us going forward in the future?
Yes.
Thanks, Joshua.
When you are working with the energy around you, whether it is guides, loved ones, higher self, highest self, all is primarily functioning based on the operations of free will. What this means is that your guides have been tied to your heart center before your soul incarnated into this physical form. But with that also comes the basis of intentionality and free will for them to truly support you in the way that they are here for. How guides and the higher self operate is based upon the needs of your space. Guides can help regulate the nervous system. They can help give connotation to the emotional responses that you are feeling. They can help you identify tangibly the different options that are in front of you. They can help support in understanding the different lessons that you can learn when going down these different options. They can help you embody these emotional states that you are looking to uphold for yourself: confidence, peace, love, joy. They can help retrain your thought processes into one of future creation and alignment with the self. See, guides, higher self, and these structures that are set up in the energetic realm support based on the current functionings and intentionalities of your space. If you are currently simply asking for guides to come forward with just information or with just supporting you on the shadow work side, then that is how they will present forward to you. Being as specific and as direct as you can allows your team to begin truly supporting you. And what does this mean? This means aligning you, not with them, but aligning you deeper with the self, deeper with the source energy that is currently flowing throughout the entirety of your energetic body. So if there is one message, it is not necessarily connecting in with more, but it is connecting in with you, with the truth that already lies there. You are not defined by the past instances. That is the brain working. You are not defined simply by the actions you are taking. That is the body working. And you are not simply defined by the interactions you hold energetically. That is the soul working. But you are defined and cultivated through the alignment of each of these processes.
With that being said, Joshua, what is a message that you have for anyone that's on today that's been working towards feeling excited about their life, feeling clarity and connecting to their team, but they may feel like they can't find a way to do that, or they may feel like there's no way out of the stuckness that they feel in the body at the moment?
It is important to recognize when we are feeling this stuck energy in the body, it is because the system is not functioning in the way that it is mechanically designed to do so. Alignment with the mind, the heart, the body, and the energy. So if you are feeling difficulties in understanding what that pathway can look like for you, what that energy of excitement feels like, this is a good sign that you are in functioning and in alignment with the brain, the neurological processes. And so what does the brain need in order to feel that excitement? It needs to feel safety. It needs to feel structure. It needs to know where it wants to go. Maybe not the physical pathway, but the embodiments of what you are looking to uphold, the standards for yourself. When there's difficulty in receiving, when there's difficulty in forward motion, when there's difficulty in feeling that excitement, it is because a need is not being met. So create that structure, understand the embodiment and where you are looking to go, and allow the brain to be a process with the heart rather than trying to push parts of the self aside. Does this make sense?
Yes. Based on what's been brought forward, can you give one more word of advice for those joining us today?
Each individual has not only a singular energetic guide around them, but an entirety of an energetic team. Each of these guides are connected directly into each individual's heart space. Lead with the heart. Allow it to be your compass, and have the brain work to provide structure to this compass. Work with yourself, to work with your team, to work with the energy. Because it is not about worthiness, it is simply about learning you.
Thanks for joining us, Joshua.
As always.
Welcome back.
Welcome.
Hi.
Thank you for that.
Of course.
I feel like eventually people are going to have so many questions about your entire experience of channeling, and we probably won't have too much time to go into that. But we do know that you don't remember anything or hardly anything of what comes through, right?
Right. That's just with my intentions I've set. Yeah, I don't really remember much of anything, just the general message or the general intention behind it.
Yeah, it's amazing. Well, a beautiful message was provided. So thank you. And I'm sure that it'll help others understand not only what you do, but why it can be so supportive and important for us to tap into those energies.
Of course.
We had talked previously about how we're bringing this energy in almost from like a 5D kind of invisible world, right? And you're able to bring it in through yourself as a channel, and you and Josiah together can help that. It's almost like an energy architect, right? You're bringing it into the 3D physical world, and we can see these almost like effects of taking the actions from this. So do you want to talk about the tangible, um, just the tangible manner in which this is so helpful for others?
Yeah, and I like the way you described it too, because it's interesting. And even if you're not someone who's in the space of guides necessarily, you can take the results of what's coming forward as your truth in itself. And so what it really looks like is we generally lead people through the feeling based, because that's what really connects. And through that,
Yeah.
you can develop other senses later on. But if you can bring in that guide when you're going through something you're struggling with and have them help you embody that peace, embody that truth, and be able to move forward with them, that makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
And so, what we set up in longer term work is we start out from the jump with mechanics. A lot of it is getting the chakras set up in a way that's beneficial to you, which your team will bring forward and how we can help with that.
Yeah.
And why is that? It's to create flow. And so when you're not experiencing flow, what does that look like? It's thoughts continuously racing. It's not understanding at all where you're trying to go and feeling a constant anxiety of everything around me is an issue. And when we create flow, it allows for, if you've been in the spiritual space, maybe you're a therapist, maybe you know the concepts of how to get yourself through a situation, but you're not feeling it in the body. That's because the system needs to be set up in a way to where you can do what you already know how to do, but your system can release the excess. How we describe it oftentimes, it's like our body is an energetic storage container.
Yeah.
And without a way to release, We can be doing all of the positive movements, but we're still just building and building and building. But when we create an avenue to flow internally, to release energy externally that's not relevant, and have us start to live from the heart, that's where we feel the shifts. It is easier to go out and meet people. It's easier to put yourself in new situations where something could come forward, whether it's a relationship, whether it's a business, whether it's just wanting to not feel alone.
Yeah.
They're your initial support system, the guides that help you feel supported to then bring that out into reality.
Yeah. And that heart space, that foundation is the core pillar to any work, period. Any work. And, that's where I started really understanding how to differentiate energies, understand other people's energies, build that foundation. And I channel through that heart center as well.
And I actually want you to define something here, because
Yeah.
a very common question we get asked constantly on lives is, so anything can just come in and channel through you?
No.
So
Yeah, that is where what we call a hospital clean environment. After you set up flow, after we help people understand how to create a heart space for themselves so they can work with their teams, then it's really about you setting the standards. And we talk about that physically, like setting the standards of what actions you want to take. He's a lot more of the practical one. I'm more of the energy work one. And so, doing this process, all right, how can we apply this? And then, okay, how can we feel it? How can we see it? How can we interact with it on an energetic scale? So now you're getting validation loops when you connect in with your heart space, when you have those controls, and you're also getting validation loops when you're taking those actions and you can actually attain it and keep that base for yourself as well.
yeah. So what is the proof is I worked with my team, I feel lighter. What is the proof? I went into my heart space, I went out and met a new friend. What is the proof? I was feeling heavy. I asked my team for a tool, and afterwards I was able to let go and start to move forward. It's all just about having a toolbox that you can work with your energetic team.
Yeah.
I love that toolbox. So you give people the toolbox, or you introduce them to the toolbox, and then you show them how to use the tools, literal energy mechanics.
It's
Because everyone's toolbox is going to be different based on what they need.
the tools that you need based on what jobs that you're doing are going to be different. That's exactly it.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. And so the intro session is, what are your tools that are around you? And then from there, how do we apply? And then anchoring it in with, what are the results? How did you feel from there? Our anchor is not, do I see them manifesting from the sky in front of me? Our anchor is, did you feel them come into your space? Can you identify them?
Mm-hmm.
And did they help you do what you were trying to do in your physical life? Because even you would say, even though the seeing and hearing and all that is amazing, that's not the pivotal point that shifted your life.
Yeah.
It
That-
was
It was the feeling. Yeah. And through the feeling is when I developed the seeing and the hearing and the channeling. But it all starts with feeling from the heart, following that gut and trusting yourself, as you did, Laura.
Yeah, after much resistance. But yes, eventually I gave in. And I think we're just there. I mean, when it's new, right? It's like, is this something that, when it's so new and it's so unknown and it's so like, is this safe? Is it safe for me to do that? Because it feels like a free fall. That's what it feels like. And then you just get used to the free fall. And then you're like, this is great. I didn't believe I was holding on so tight before. And then you're floating after you go through the terrifying fall. That's just my experience. But I think a lot of us, we can relate to this. So, but me too, I did also learn energy first, the feeling. I was always a feeler, lost track of my feeling. I came back to the feeling, living through the heart center, and then the visuals, that's when I started being able to bring those in as well to my own guidance.
I'm curious, Laura, when was there a specific moment for you when things started to shift from grinding of gears to flowing? Was there like a moment that you remember or a shift that you remember where like that was the point where like, okay, I got it?
Yes, it was specifically. I mean, I think everything is in little tiny steps, right? Little tiny shifts and little tiny shifting of my thoughts. But it was literally when I decided that my control wasn't helping.
Mm,
It's like, am I in the passenger seat? Am I in the driver's seat? Well, today I'm in the driver's seat and I'm going to go here. And I just kept getting, running off course. And when I realized that I have no idea how to drive this thing, like this, what I would call control is when I said, okay, well, I'm just going to, and I think when I say control, it's like we're so used to staying with on the road of the unknown, of the known, of what we know, because we get that. We know what to expect. And when we stay there, we've seen ourselves get places on that road. And so we do have
mhm.
some evidence and validation that works
Mhm.
for something, right? And eventually you just realize the road just ends. You're just like, okay, this isn't it anymore. And I don't know what is. Is there another road? And that road is a space of expansion. And we just got to, for me, I had to shift. And that shifting was not only am I going to get out of the driver's seat, I'm going to get out of the car and
Mm.
I'm just going to walk away from that. And that was my decision to let go is when everything changed for me.
Yeah.
And that's a powerful position as well. Things are working, but it's like
Yeah.
things are working, but internally something's not connecting. Or was it also, or you got to the end of that road? You were just like, I've lived this all the way through as far as I can. It's time for the next thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was. It was. And also, I think by design, I don't know what our life contracts are. Like, if I was conscious of all the things I contracted to, I mean, if you believe in life contracts, I do personally, because there's things that I just couldn't have avoided. But there were just experiences that I wanted to have, and I had to be
Mm.
less conscious to do that. And I think there were experiences that I needed to have in order to see the other side of the coin. Like when you're working your way up in a corporate world, for example, you climb up to the top of the ladder and you're like, oh, well, there's nothing here, and then
Mm.
you're like, well, that was fun, but I thought there was something here. And I think had I not done that, I would have just regretted. You can't take someone else's word for it. You have to see for yourself.
Yeah.
Go look at the view and whatever's there for you, whatever you think is there, it, it may or may not be, but looking back in hindsight, I can see that everything I needed to know was there, which is that experience that now I could take into something more meaningful and aligned with my heart space and my presence and my being, instead of what I thought I had to do or what I thought life was about, which I didn't even think life was about anything back then. I was just like, doo-doo, we're just
Yeah.
doo-doo. Yeah. So for me, it's, and I'd love to hear other people's experience, but I just think it all has purpose and it all has meaning. And in hindsight, it's like, oh, I had to
Yeah.
make that dumb choice because I knew it was dumb when I made it. I just had to prove to myself how dumb it was. And I learned from it. We learned from these things and then we just make different decisions.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
that is a very different perspective
Yeah.
from I've made all these mistakes and I have to go backwards and fix them,
Yes.
right? Versus they
Right.
led me to this point of understanding and it allows me to move forward.
Yeah. That's,
Yeah.
such a powerful statement there. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think a lot of the common themes are really about going back. things aren't moving here. What did I do wrong in the past? But the more we go and we just decide what we want to create and understand everything that got us here, exactly as you were describing, was
Yeah.
stepping stones to our understanding, whether it's something you wanted or something you didn't want, those are just as valid. Those are just as valid. Fully understanding what you don't want. You can't understand that by just writing it on paper. If you've been through something and you've experienced what you don't want,
Yeah.
that can be just as much of a propeller as feeling into what you do want. They're two sides. One's pushing you forward, one's pulling you forward. But if we treat it as such, it can really be project us into something new rather than a constant revisiting the past to find the answers. It's okay, from how I'm feeling now and what I've learned, what do I want to create? And learning from new creations that come forward.
Yeah.
So valuable.
Yeah. And I do, we give meanings to our experiences. So the experiences that I saw as just terrible and bad, and I made all these mistakes, like I'm the one that gave all that meaning. And now I
Mhm.
see like, oh, I could have just given it a different meaning, and I can still do that if I want to. And I can re-experience those now if I want to have it as a more positive experience. I could just decide to
Yeah.
do that right now. But it is very true though. And, we talk just kind of come full circle about the jobs that we've had, the skills that we've learned, the experiences that we gave meaning to, whether it be bad or good or neutral. We do come full circle, like you've said, back to ourselves with all of these things. And now it's like, what do I get to do with all of this? What do I get to do
Yeah.
with all this now? And what do I want to do with all this now? And for me, it was just process of elimination because I didn't know, right? I didn't know what I wanted. I'm like, I don't know. It's like asking somebody who's been in terrible relationships their entire life, what kind of relationship do you want? They're like, just not
Mm.
that, just none of that. But
Hmm.
I don't know
Mhm.
what the good stuff looks like, but I don't want any of that because it does end up being a process of elimination. So you're like, I know the thousand things I don't want, but the one that I do, I don't know. But then you can continue to release those energies of that's not aligned. I'm going to leave it. That's not aligned. I'm going
Mhm.
to leave it. And then through that, and I think that's because there's so many possibilities in this reality that we can align with, that we can repeatedly let those go and say that's not it, that's not it, that's not it. But our alignment is solid, right? It's not all these things coming at us, it's us going through it.
Yeah.
Right.
And people put so much weight on this specific physical thing as my purpose. But what I love is no matter what guide we're bringing in, when we ask about like soul contracts or destiny or things along those nature, it's often described as a theme. It's often described as a theme of things you're looking to learn, not a set of physical actions you take.
So then what do you want to do with that? Yeah.
So if you're right, if your theme is bringing more joy into your life, if it's learning to help others, if it's learning to find a base within the self, that can be done through millions of different physical actions. But I love your example of the relationships. If you've only been in bad relationships, and then from that point, or bad, right? But ones that we don't prefer, and then we get to a certain point and we go, I'm not going to take another action until I perfectly craft the exact person that I want and fully understand it and know it 100%. Then I'll take action. It takes away our ability to continuously use trial and error through experience to learn and grow.
Mhm.
And that's where action really plays into it rather than perfecting the physical thing. Go out and try and refine. That can be living your purpose. You can be living your purpose right exactly now, even if you have no idea what you're trying to do physically, but you're living into your truth. That could be the thing you came in here for.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that we have a hard time reconciling that because when we're moving from our intellect, it's like a box that we check. Came, did that, check, got my purpose
Yeah.
today. Yeah, like got my purpose ticket. But it is,
Yes.
it's a collective of things. For me, it's been like, oh, I'm a mother. I'm a mother, I'm a sister, I'm a daughter, I'm a friend, I'm a partner, I'm a guide, I'm a teacher, um, I'm experiencing. For me, it's these experiences that I'm collecting and the energy that I'm processing all the time, and the knowledge that I'm bringing in daily, and it's a momentary thing. So like one piece of knowledge in one moment will just shock me. I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
that's part of my purpose. Cool. And it's just we've been taught that, and I don't know that we've been taught is the right word. It's just the way the physical world works. You get a ticket, you go on a plane, you're going there. It's that before and after thing. So it's just so solid, but our purpose is existing, and we get to do that. And what I love about what you guys do is you teach us how to do that with the tools that we have. And what I'm realizing now is you really help individuals get into that personal power of strength and defining their purpose. It's not like
Yeah.
it's not always, like you said, it's a theme, but we get to choose too,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely.
Now. Yeah.
It's almost
Absolutely.
it's almost a rebellion of what's commonly taught. How fun, if we really think into that, kind of going along the lines of what you're saying as well, how fun would it truly be if we were assigned a purpose? You have one thing to do, you can't do anything else.
Be awesome.
This is your assignment, go do it.
Yeah.
Most of us would go, ooh, go right around another direction because it's, experiencing and feeling your own confidence and being able to explore and live. And, that's why our end goal with those that we work with, along what you're saying, is not about more spiritual experiences necessarily. It's taking the class, meeting new friends, doing things in your life. It's having autonomy over your space and
Yes.
using it to do things you enjoy.
To refine your experience of life is how I would best describe it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And using your tools to help you process and move forward.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think what, Josiah, you might, because I've had employee mindset, right? I've been there. It's like, this is your job title, go do it. And I feel like that's what we want with our purpose. It's like, and then eventually when you are like, no, I'm going to be an entrepreneur and I'm going to be, there's no ceiling there anymore. When you're an entrepreneur, there's no ceiling to your energy, your expression, your evolution, your growth. There's your income. Like that ceiling is gone. And that's why being an entrepreneur for a lot of people is scary, because now they have all this freedom and no structure. So they have to rebuild the structure. And so when people are wanting their purpose, it's like, just tell me what I'm here to do so I could go do it, not realizing that they're the entrepreneur of their entire existence, right?
Yes. And, just as we make structures for ourselves, like an entrepreneur, okay, this is the structure that we need to do to be successful. And it's the same thing. What is my structure internally so I can be successful? So we're moving internally and externally at the same rate rather than, all right, this is happening, but I don't know, like that push and pull that a lot of people feel.
In creating a structure that helps you feel that freedom. I mean, working with guides can help you do that. And they did that. My camp is the thing I always go back to is every 15 minutes of my day for 16 hours was scheduled while I worked there. That was where I learned physical structure. I've never had that much structure in my life. I mean, maybe it was 15 to 30, but literally from the time we woke up to the time we went to sleep, because we needed to keep these kids moving and going to work towards something, because when we were idle, they like to stir up a lot of things. And so that was kind of the mentality, good, bad, or indifferent. That's what it was at that place. And it taught me that even if you're starting in a place of extreme structure, you can transfer that. Not all things are good or bad. If I could have labeled that as bad, so much structure, but I learned so much from following someone else's system to when I was ready to go into my system, I was like, okay, I have an idea of how to do this. I have a baseline of what this looks like. Not every 15 minutes, but still, I know how to build a structure for my day that can help me function. And then it was taking the physical tools and applying it with teams and energetically. It's like it's all one. It's back and forth. They work together versus I'm either very structured or I don't have any plan and I go out. It's how do we work with those in unison, in alignment?
Trusting, yeah, again, like trusting the self and the structures that you place for yourself.
That you can evolve them and adapt them over time and grow with your team and all of that. Yeah.
And I love that because I have yet to find something that it's either or. It's both, you know. It's both. And I had a similar experience. I worked at a different place when I was like I called it like I was getting paid for therapy because where I had quit all my businesses, went and worked, and it was so busy that I was just like going through these energetic like, oh my God, like I don't know what's going on. And I'm getting paid for this. I guess it's therapy. But I'm showing up for work, but it's terrifying because there's so many people around. So but I too in that experience learned a different structure, and the law and the legal world taught me a structure, and planning taught me a structure, and even event planning. I see things with no structure, people are standing around waiting, right? But when there's structure and there's those things that they build for themselves, and I love that we kind of are using like the entrepreneur analogy, because if you don't have some sort of structure to establish your baseline, there's not really a structure that you can evolve to grow. You know, you're calling the shots as an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And you are as a as a soul also navigating this energy experience too.
Yeah, what that brings up for me is the business side is like the brain, having the structures and everything that you need up here and the knowledge to know how to do that, but then having the heart lead that, the intuition, what's coming forward from you, what you feel is the path, and letting that lead the structures versus the structure being what leads everything else in your space.
Yeah, and then if you don't have an internal base or know how to flow, then it's just the head knowledge, and it makes it very difficult to take that leap.
Mm. Yeah, that's perfect. And the system too, you know, it's like as I, in my personal adventures of business and marketing, I'm very diligent with keeping people in their heart and then showing them a system, because I want them to create from their heart. But if I show them a system too early, they're like, how does this system work? Let's get but you've got to put the soul into the system, the way that I see it. And then from there, you make the system run on something. But with the system on its own, you don't really have anything that you're fueling it with. It's just a system. It's cold, right? It's like, I mean, and I'm just using like a CRM as an example, like a customer, if there's nothing in there, it's just a shell. But when you're putting your work in there and it's a tool, then it becomes a tool, then it becomes useful.
Yep. A tool rather than something that you're waiting to run it for you. Where it's almost like putting this will fix it for me versus go to the self, feel it. Okay, what tools do I need to create this? 100%, Laura.
Yeah, the analogies, we can go forever. So, well, Isabel and Josiah, is there anything else you really want people to know, or any parting words that you'd like to share for those listening?
We get so many people coming to us asking, what's wrong with me? I feel like I'm trying to connect. I feel like I'm trying to move in my life and things aren't working. And I just want people to know that it's nothing wrong with you. It's just the mechanical structures. It's just laying that foundation for yourself and providing an avenue for that success. Yes, you already have guidance around you. Yes, this is available to everybody. But also, when you really start putting yourself first, that is when so many doors start to open. And so if there's a biggest piece of advice that I can say from our work, from interacting with hundreds of clients and seeing them completely change their lives, it's learning truly how to put yourself first and what an incredible impact that can have on yourself and on literally everything around you.
Yeah. I don't know if I could have put it better myself. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean,
I love
to add to that, and another analogy that we've been doing is if you're trying to serve everybody else from an empty cup, it is very, very difficult to do. But if you figure out how to fill your own cup and serve others from that overflow, it can inspire others to do the same. And if everyone is filling from an overflowing cup, then this whole world starts to look different. And so that's the avenue that we present forward, is that you have support there. Even if it's been difficult to connect, they are present. It's just learning the mechanics to get deeper into that so you can feel you and express you and know that you are truly worthy of creating the life that you want.
that. Is so beautiful. Thank you, guys.
Thank you for having us,
I
Laura.
love that. Of course.